All right, just give it a couple minutes. All right, just give it a couple minutes. Uh-huh. Sweet. All right, that's all set up there. We live.
We live.
We live. So, oh gosh, my one of my bestest friends, Liz, is joining me today on this special New Year's Eve edition of
New Year's
Conscious
Day.
Conversations. Well, sorry, New Year's Day. I don't even know. Yeah, you know, sometimes my brain short circuits, but special New Year's edition. Yes. Um, and
Hello.
yeah, so thank you for coming on, girl.
I am always happy to come on.
Yeah, so 2022. Wow.
2022.
Wow. A lot of twos.
Yes, it is a lot of twos.
That's a lot of twos. So, you know, I don't know like if anybody watching this is into like numerology or anything like that, but obviously like each number has a special meaning, and you know, three twos together really amplifies the meaning. And from the research that I've done about it so far, I've seen a lot come up about duality, balance, harmony, and then some stuff about like relationships.
It's kind of funny because I am very curious. Like there are like numerology like year numbers, and then there's like your personal year number. And my
Yeah.
personal year number for last year was a 6. So
Okay. My
and
okay. I don't know the meanings of like all the personal year numbers. I only know a couple. So tell us about 6.
well, 6 from the research that I did was a lot about like relationships, as far as your relationship to yourself, setting boundaries, um, letting go of relationships, and or like changing the dynamics of them, like if for personal growth. And I think
Mm,
there was also like some mention of like career and stuff, but that theme was like huge for me, as you already know, was
that's
huge for me
appropriate
doing
for
that.
you.
So yeah.
So this year will be a 7 for you.
I think that like I actually don't know too much. It's just somebody had mentioned like look into that, and then when I did, I was like, man, I'm like, I wish I would have read this like ahead of time, like disclaimer
Yeah.
warning or something.
If you were a 6 last year, you're a 7 this year. It keeps
Okay, so
just
I didn't.
going like sequentially in a cycle of 9. So, and for people watching, like to get your personal year number, it's your birth date. So it's the month and the day. You don't use your birth year, just the month and the day. And then whatever year you're trying to figure it out for. So, like, for example, my birthday is May 10th. So it would be 5 plus a 1 in the 10 plus 2022 comes to 6. So that would be a total of 12, and 1 plus 2 is 3. But there's like guides online that'll show you how to do it and stuff. So I'm a 3 this year apparently. Yeah, I think that's right.
And there's
Anyway,
also things too that you can look into, like if you want to go deeper into it, of figuring out like what your life path number is, and then like check
right.
referencing with that like together, like to get more of a descriptive thing for like the combined thing to get it, like because you know me, if I'm gonna go in it, I want to get as much information as I can.
Right. Yeah, I know you. Well, like I know, so 3 is supposed to be like a really good year, apparently. Like pretty good, positive, pretty lucky. Um, and I'm just feeling with all these twos, I'm just feeling a lot of abundance. I'm feeling like a lot of balance, a lot of like harmony. Um, I think that things are really going to kind of like, I feel like stuff was like super chaotic in 2021. And I think it's going to kind of like balance and level out this year a little bit. You're like, I don't know. What do you think?
I think honestly, it's going to be a perspective thing too. Like I will say for myself, like last year with with when it comes to a six, I don't know if it'll be the same for like a year number and then like a personal year number. But with the relationship thing, it's going to be all about perspective. Because at first, it seemed really crappy and really hard. But then it's like that was like my bad perspective of that. And when I pulled that away and realized, hey, these are like lessons and like healing and growth and things like that, I think it's going to be a matter of that. And then the other people that like already know that stuff, it'll be probably smooth sailing for a lot of us that already went through that to some degree.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's so interesting. Like, I mean, 2021 was just like full of lessons and challenges for me, like one after the next, it seemed like. And it does seem like, it's getting a little bit easier each time, but it's still not easy. Like it's still hard. It's still difficult and challenging when you're going through it. Just maybe like it's less intense than it has been in the past. Maybe you know it lasts for like less days, like something that may have taken you a week maybe takes like 3 days now. But I found the best thing that has helped me the most is whatever I'm feeling, lean into it, let it
Yes.
be, just let it be there. And even like sometimes going out of my way to how do I want to say, like really feel it, really express it. And sometimes I need a little bit of extra help with that because I'm one of those people that it's like sometimes it's hard for me to feel feelings. So, you know, if I'm angry, maybe like screaming into a pillow, or if I'm like really sad, sometimes I have to like actually watch a really sad movie to get myself to cry. Um, but I do know that if you don't lean into whatever it is, and you're not actually like allowing yourself to feel it, then it's just stuffing it down even more, and then you're not it's gonna stay with you.
Yeah. I would definitely say that if the like year number thing is anything like the personal one thing that's definitely certain is avoidance. Like there is no avoidance. It will just come back around. I mean, like things like that in general happen, but like it's what I mean, like how it like happens quicker and more intense. It gets more intense. So it's kind of like the lesson in that is just like really go into it, whatever the feelings are, or like whatever the specific thing is. And if it is about like relationships specifically, and it's especially the relationship to the self and like actually allowing yourself to figure out what you want, figure out your feelings, like what, not just the surface stuff, but like the really deep, deep, deep stuff, And
Yeah, because the relationship we have with ourselves is the most important one. And I mean, asking yourself what you want. I actually keep asking myself that question. Um, well, I don't know, lately it's been almost every day. But yeah, it's a really good practice to like journal and write about that. Because the cool thing is like we get to create we get to like create our experience to some extent, but we can't create that which we don't know. Like we have to kind of know what we want in order to try to create it. So I think a lot of people are still stuck in the societal norms and expectations of what is like acceptable and what is expected of them and all this stuff. And they don't like think outside of the box. They don't really venture beyond that because it's like, oh, that's different. That's kind of scary. But I think it's like, it's good to do that. It's good to challenge yourself. It's good to do things that scare you. Like fear and pain are like some of our biggest teachers, I believe, and some of the biggest gifts. And it might not feel like that in the moment.
I would also say allowance. Like even if like you know that there's like a specific thing you want, but like another opportunity that is not exactly what you want, like allowing those things to actually come in, because what you think you want and what you like your soul knows that you like need or want, like further down the line, that could be like a completely separate
Oh,
thing too.
for sure. For sure. Like earlier this year, what happened with me, right? Remember what happened in January where I made a move. And I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that. But my higher self was like, you need to do this. Like, oh, man. Like, when I feel like it's coming from my higher self, like I'm going to listen, because one thing I do know is if we don't, like, it's going to come back at some point. Like, we have, like, I believe we have these soul contracts with ourselves and with other people, and like things we're supposed to play out. And it's like, we can try to procrastinate as much as we want and like put it off, but we're gonna have to do it at some point. Whether it's like this year or 10 years from now or
Next
next
lifetime.
lifetime. Right? This is why Liz and I are such good friends. We like actually speak the same language. It's like the craziest thing. That's why I love you.
I love you.
But I wanted to share with the viewers one of your pieces of art, and you said you just made this last night.
I just made it last night. Like this was probably like shortly after midnight that I had made that piece. I have a very
Okay.
strange, okay, so we have this very strange like tradition. I'm not really into watching movies too much, as you already know, and stuff like that. But one thing that I do allow is it started probably 10 plus years ago of watching It's a Wonderful Life on New Year's Eve. I don't know why, but for some reason, I know it's more of a Christmas movie, but for some reason, we watched that on New Year's Eve. And I know it's odd, but that's kind of it's kind of a thing that we do, but it was going on in the background and I kind of went in my meditative state that I often do when I have been creating art. But lately I kind of feel like art wise it's been getting upgraded. And you'll see what I mean when she
I
shows
would
you.
say that's correct. Okay, let me just share it. Okay. So tell us about this.
Okay, so um the only way I can really describe, like, I don't like, what do you want me to describe specifically? Like,
So, like, tell us, I'm trying to think of like a good question. So I know like you're in a meditative state when you're creating your pieces. I'm curious, when you're creating your pieces, do you have like, are there like thought processes that are going on? Are there like emotions
I
that are going
usually
on?
like when I make my art, it, as you already know, like I pretty much set the intention, like they're gonna be Reiki infused, it's gonna be activation art, but I've really been feeling like lately it's kind of been like my higher self has kind of been like pouring through more of like actually making it like specific things. Like this one was specifically like to clear blocks like in the chakras That is like specifically what it was for. Like, and I kept hearing music. Now that was kind of interesting. Like that's been a new thing of like music while I'm making it. But yeah, that's kind of what was going on with this specific one. So that's why there's a lot of chakra colors going
Mhm.
on with it. And yeah,
So you weren't actually like listening to music, you were just hearing it.
I was hearing it. That time I was hearing it. Sometimes I will hear music like more recently, probably within like the last, I would say a couple of weeks, the music thing has been a thing. Um,
That's
and
so fascinating.
sometimes it can be hard though, because if somebody's trying to talk to me, like I'm just like so like somewhere else.
Yeah, you're in a flow state.
Yeah, but yeah, I've definitely felt like this huge like shift and upgrade art wise. I don't know, it just probably because you've seen like my older stuff, like a few I wish we had a comparison thing from like my
Well,
original to like now.
yeah, I should have thought of that.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say I could go on your page real quick and see if I can find something, but I'm so curious about this music. Like, so the music that you're hearing, you said this has been happening like a few times recently. Is it like the same type of music or is it different?
Different. Like that one that's the one that you had used for the post, like that I had used for my post for like uh last night or whatever, that one was kind of more like meditation. I don't really know, like a third eye meditation kind of thing for the but it was like ones that I've listened to that have to do with like violet flame type of stuff, but it was like I was hearing it, not one that I've heard before though. Like this music that I'm hearing, not stuff I've actually listened to or heard. So that's been interesting.
Okay, well, I don't have that one, but I do have the one that you use as your cover photo. I do have that one. So, like, were you hearing music when you were creating this one?
That one, well, that one I actually was listening to meditation music. I was listening to a angelic frequency, like meditation for that one. And I definitely get that vibe from it. So that's why when I had posted it, I made sure to uh like post it with that kind of music, like through the little story thing on Facebook. I'm actually looking, and I'm putting this out there, if any of the viewers or whatever, anybody that makes meditation music, like hit me up on my page, because I kind of want have an idea of things I want to do like for this year, and I'm going to be looking for people to do that can make music for me. So
Sweet. So, like, can you give us like insight as to like the meaning of this?
this was more of like a, I don't know, I felt like it was like a surrender healing, um surrender healing, like all seeing eye kind of vibe. Like if you get like seeing through all levels, but like clearing them at the same time. I don't know, it's kind of hard because I have like so many pieces. Like this one is actually probably from a few weeks ago. Like I have thousands of pieces that I've made. Yeah, I'm in the thousands.
Wow. Well,
So
this
like
like
trying to remember each one is like, yeah.
mhm. Yeah, it would be cool just to write like a little description for each one, you know? So like if you do a print, like, you know, the description of it could be like on the back of it. Because I'm like always so curious, like, oh, like
But yeah,
what
the main thing I got from this was that it was an angelic healing. Like that was like the whole thing of that.
well, when I look at this, I see a portal and like I think about like time travel to like a different dimension or something crazy.
But see, like that's the thing, it's different. Like that could have just been like my whole intentions that I always set in is whatever someone needs. So like for what it gives to me, it may not give you the same thing. So that's why I always ask people like what it gives them. And I always get different things. Like sometimes people, like I'll have a thing that I'll make for a specific chakra and then they feel it somewhere else. So like, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, everyone is so different. Everyone is so different. So I just want to go back to this other one real quick before we go back. But yeah, so this one, yeah, I don't tell us more about like the meaning behind this, or what this means to you.
For me, it specifically like means like, I guess almost like a clearing of a slate, restoring back to original state, um, fresh energy, like running through. I also kind of got like, even though that was like coming through, I was hearing like harp music when I made this for some reason. I kept hearing like little pings of like a harp. That's what I was hearing too.
Like an angel?
What?
Like an angel, maybe?
I mean, it's possible, but like it was, I don't know, like I can't like describe.
It's okay. I was just curious. Like I also know that like our language, the human language, is very limiting, and there's like a lot of stuff that actually can't be explained. And I know like with stuff like this, a lot of it is just what you feel and what you're experiencing as you're looking at it. So I do understand that, but
For
I
me,
always
I
have
think
this curiosity.
for me too, I think it's also sometimes when I go into the meditative state, like if I hear things or like a specific thing is coming through, like sometimes I may not remember it later on. That's like another thing. I'm working on that still, but that's definitely a thing. I was also getting like for the bottom part of this, like the bottom center, I was getting like clearing of like specifically ancient like tribal timelines. That was like another thing that I was getting coming through that.
Yeah, well, this is beautiful. This is just stunning work. I love this. I love your art so much, but this is beautiful. Beautiful. You have such a gift.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Well, I hope that the viewers enjoyed it.
I will definitely be making prints out of that one for sure.
Yeah, and you've got your Etsy shop now up. And so you've got a few different types of products on there, I saw.
Yeah, I have mainly right now I have mainly clothing, different kinds of clothing, cups, and journaling. But the reason for that specifically is because all of it is activation related and like healing related. I feel like, I mean, looking at something is great and it can be effective, but I feel like for like a deeper effect, it's best to like wear it or like interact with it where it's like touching the skin kind of thing.
Yes,
So
definitely. Like well, I don't have my shirt with me, but yeah, I've got this awesome shirt. I wonder if I could find it on my Facebook really quick. This would be cool if I could actually share this, because I thought to myself, I'm like, man, like I wish I could wear the shirt that Liz made for me. Let me see. It might take me a minute to find it. So, what are your thoughts about going into this new year in 2022? How do you feel? How, like, what's been going on for you?
how do I feel? I feel like there's definitely like for me personally, definitely going to be a lot more projects, like new projects, um, that I want to be working on. That's why I like for the music thing, I have like things I want to do for that, along with some other YouTube based, I'll just say things. They're art related, but like there's more to it. I don't really want to give away too much with that, but um, definitely a lot more art related stuff. And yeah, like I also want to do more. I did my first like art vendors events last year. I want to find more of those to do. I really enjoyed it and liked the tight knit like community type of vibe that those give. And I made a lot of connections like through that, so that was pretty cool. And I had sold my first print, which was also awesome. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
but if you mean like collectively, that's like a whole other that's a
Oh,
whole
is
other story.
it really? Is it? Let's go into it. Let's talk about it.
Collectively, I don't know. I feel like we collectively, there's still a lot of growing pains. I'll just put it that way. Growing pains. I kind of feel like with it being a 6 year, um, the relationship to like other people and also to the self, that's going to be a like I feel like the last 2 years it was a lot of growing and also what's the word I want to use? Growing and also learning like resistance, like where your resistance lies and like working through that. But I kind of feel like for people that have been more resistant or maybe more asleep to the things they need to change, I think there's going to be a lot of shifting with that, but only time will tell, I guess, with that one. But what about you? What do you think is going to be for?
Oh man, it's like it's so hard. It's so hard to like feel into that. It seems like um I think that well, I think we're being asked to kind of move into a state of being in the present moment, um, being very flexible and adaptable. So that's why, like, for a lot of people, it's been really hard to plan things in advance. I mean, and this whole situation, I won't say the actual word, but this whole situation has really brought about a lot of changes that really require people to you can't do things the way that you used to do anymore. So you do have to make changes. It is different. So, like I don't know, for example, if, 6 months from now, I could travel to a certain country. Like maybe in 6 months I can't. So that's why I'm saying like it's really hard to plan things out in advance. Um,
Learning to be adaptable in any situation is like definitely a key component and not falling apart.
yeah. And I think we're also being asked to let go of our attachments to things and letting go of our expectations. Um, because, you know, we we have to have trust and faith in the universe that it's working for our highest good and that everything is working as it's supposed to. So I'll give you an example. Last year, last year I had a trip planned to Bali, and it's like 2 days before my flight leaves and Indonesia closes its borders. I'm so upset. I was so upset. But I have to trust that I just wasn't meant to go, or maybe it's not the right time. And like everything always works out, no matter what. It will always work out, even when it seems dire, even when it seems like it might not. Because we tend to go into those into that previous coping mechanism of like anxiety and fear, and we're freaking out. We don't know what's going to happen because we're so uncomfortable with the unknown. But I think that this is what this time is really asking us to do, is become really comfortable with the unknown and really comfortable with not knowing, not having to have the answer to everything. And like you, I'm going to circle back to what you were talking about, is asking ourselves, what do we really want? Like, how do we want to spend our days? Who are the people we want to be around? What kind of like future do we envision for ourselves and our children and our future generations? Like, how can we make an impact? What are ways that we can, like, live that are less harmful to the planet? Like, all of this stuff I think is so important. And what I see happening, and I don't know, like, it's already starting to happen, but I see it's just going to be happening more and more, are these like little communities that are going to be popping up all over the place, little like eco villages and intentional communities where people are living off the land. It's very sustainable. Everyone's kind of like helping each other, more like tribal living, like how we used to do. The community supports each other. They put all their resources together, because that to me makes a lot more sense than how we live right now. Because how we live right now, everyone is like separated and disconnected from each other. And, we live in our little boxes, right? And then we have like, oh, this is mine. This is mine. Like, you can't come over here. And we put up all these walls.
I would also say a sense of like control, like the sense of control, like as like a whole, like everybody, and also like control, like at like in reference to the self. Like that's something that like people need to realize, like control can't be like a thing. It's not a thing. And like
Exactly.
I think that all of the things that have happened thus far have been, an indicator of that as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, we like, if you think like it's in your control, then you're a little delusional, because it's, I mean, we can control our own behaviors and our own actions and so forth, but as far as like what's going to happen in the world, like that is a collective decision, that is a universal decision, a Mama Gaia decision.
Individual decision, like that's the thing too, like there's so many layers to it that you
Yeah.
can't like you don't have control over all those aspects, you just don't.
No, we really don't. We really don't. Yeah. And I think that like people either, like, when I tell them about this concept of like communal living and living in community, they're either like interested in that, it sounds intriguing to them, or they're like totally like on the opposite side of the spectrum, like, no way. But I think that humans we are social creatures. Like, I think we are supposed to be together, relating, communicating, loving, and like, relationships are work. They're work. Like, it takes each individual, needs to put in the effort of like taking responsibility for themselves and their own actions, and admitting when they mess up, knowing what they're projecting, like all this stuff, and that takes work to get to that point. So, but I think
and
it's possible.
and that's not even counting like the what do you really want to do, because I think that that's also been like another component, like people for so long have just done what they needed or they thought they needed to do and not what they actually wanted to do. And I feel like we're finally, at least some of us are finally starting to get to a place of what do I really want to do? Like, what can I do? Like, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's becoming more of an option now. A lot of people, like, with this current situation, perhaps they lost their job, perhaps they consciously made a decision to walk away from their job. I mean, there's hiring signs everywhere, all over the country. Um, and so people, yeah, people are actually starting to think about what they want and what they want to do. But it's hard because there's this like sense of purpose and what you feel like you should be doing, like what feels right in your heart and soul, right? Like your dharma, you're like, okay, like I feel like this really feels right. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. And like when you do it, it just like lights you up and it gives you so much energy. But then at the same time, our current system might not be designed to support what you feel like your calling is, like what you want to do. So it's still kind of like it's this balance. We have to still learn how to like exist in this world, um, while at the same time trying to live a life of joy and fulfillment. So, that's something that I'm still figuring out myself. Like, how do we bring all of that together? Like, do we have to just like play the game?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. But yeah, because I feel like I feel like to a certain extent, like there's this operating system in the 3D that is like the dominant operating system. Like that is what is currently like supporting most everything. And, organizations and governments and structures and things that are like set into place. Um, so, what I'm talking about, probably people are listening to this and they're like, what is she talking about? What I'm talking about specifically is like, let's say you work this 9 to 5 job and you have this career and you've been doing it for a while, and it's okay, right? It like supports you and it pays your bills and you can have health insurance and all this stuff. But maybe you don't like it, right? And maybe like you're getting to this point where you're just like dreading going to work. And that's a really hard place to be in, because it's like, okay, do I want to keep this job so that I can like maintain this kind of lifestyle with, a place to live and paying my bills and all this stuff, right? That's like the norm. Or do I want to like take a leap of faith? Do I want to jump off a cliff and like try something different? And sometimes we take a jump, sometimes we fail, sometimes we make mistakes, and the jump is scary. It's like exciting and scary at the same time. So maybe like you want to be a sound healer, okay? Maybe like that just calls to you so much. And you're like, I just want to sit in a room with people and I want to play crystal bowls and sing and heal people through my music. Like that's beautiful. But, you know, are you going to be able to actually like sustain yourself that way? Like that's kind of the question. Um,
I think it's also like a thing of sometimes people don't see all the signs or hear all the signs, and they by doing that they miss opportunities. I think too, when it comes to specific things. See, me, I'm constantly like I'm like Miss Sign person. It's like, okay, but I feel like by allowing yourself to be more in tune, it goes beyond just taking that leap of faith. It's also following, like, there are, in a way, like, I don't want to say like instructions, because that's not really a good word to use, but like indicators sometimes of like, this is for me or this isn't for me, like right off the bat, or like navigating it in a different way. I feel like the traditional structure is more of like straight to the like point kind of thing, where this kind of teaches you when you go into like what your like life purpose is, it teaches you different paths to navigate, but by it doing that, it also gives you the experience so that when you do work with somebody in whatever capacity it will be, you will have more knowledge to teach them like how to navigate whatever's coming up. Like if you are going for a healer path, or even not, like, you know, depending on like what you're doing. I feel like it gives you more knowledge and more of a capacity to be resilient, so that you may be able to help somebody later on in some way to by your own experience.
Yeah, and that's why I've been so attracted to this idea of like a sustainable like eco community, is because I think that setup will allow people the freedom to actually do what brings them joy. Because I think in living this way, I think it would be very, very low cost. As opposed to, I mean, the exorbitant rent prices and like cost of living are going up everywhere. I mean, rent,
Oh
food,
yeah.
everything. So with that in mind, you have to think about like, okay, is that eventually just going to crash? I don't know how they can keep rising and just keep going up before everything just crashes. So are we going to see another economic collapse? I mean, if we look at like patterns of, I think it's like every 7 years we're supposed to have one. So we're like due for one. But with like how much things have changed and how different things are now, the old patterns and the old trajectories may not apply anymore. So that's why, because in the past I would have just said like, oh yeah, we're just going to have an economic collapse because that's what happens every 7 years and we're due for that. But now I'm like, well, I mean, that could happen and that could not happen. We could just like continue to see the prices going up and continue to see the disparity between, wealthy people and poor people, that gap increasing. Continue to see, more homeless people and more people without jobs and all of this. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting, but I think that's why we really need to start thinking about these communities and different ways to live. And
I think ultimately it's like living outside of the box, like thinking outside of the box, like even with life course and life direction, and especially everything that's happened in general. That's like a lesson of, you cannot always think the straight path that you're used to. You have to learn new ways. Like you can't get set and comfortable in one specific way. And that's like going forward, that definitely is apparent that everything has to be reshifted and reshaped, and not in a regular way that things have been.
yeah, there's always a way. It just might not be something that you see right now, but like if you keep on exploring, there's always a different way. There's always a different path, a different choice. Like you're never stuck. You're never stuck anywhere. Like, so whenever anybody says that, I always correct them. I'm like, no, there's no being stuck.
You're not stuck. Like the fact is, you're not stuck. You're resistant. That's just like, if you really sit and think about it, you're resistant to something. That's why you feel stuck. So you're resistant to change, or, you know,
Afraid.
afraid, which, but like is another form of
You don't want
being
to,
resistant to.
yeah, you don't want to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because change is uncomfortable. It totally is. Um, but yeah, so I'm really looking forward to my visit to Costa Rica in a couple of months and going to this community and learning more about how they do things there. And yeah, I'll be I'll be happy to report back. Hopefully I can keep on doing these while I'm there. I don't know how good the Wi-Fi is going to be. And I would love to just record some video while I'm there, just to, show people what it's like, in case they're interested. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I'm excited to go and to learn and experience and see, if this actually is something that I would want to do. Like, that's the thing. That's what I've been doing now is, if I, like, I'm writing every day, like, what do I really want? Right. And then if something comes up and I say, well, I want to live in community. Well, okay, that's what I feel right now, but do I really want to? So let me go try it. Let me go experience it. But I'm in the path of trying and doing to, like, test and see, because I don't want to just sit there, like I've done for most of my life, and say, oh, well, I really want to do this, and then I, like, never do anything about it.
I totally feel that one. Like I've been that with the art thing forever. So like that's why like that the last so many months of last year I was like hustling with that because like I've been on and off that wagon for like ever.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of you too. Like, you've really been hustling, girl. You got some stuff going on.
I've been trying.
Well, yeah. Well, I just want to, like, shout out to you, and just, really let you know, like, I see you and how hard you've been working, and it's really beautiful and inspiring. And if there's anybody who, if you saw the stuff that I shared earlier and you think that's cool, then we're going to post some links in the description where you can check out Liz's page and her shop. And I highly recommend that you get something, because, you guys, this is not just art. Like, this is, like, energetically Reiki infused. Okay. This is, like, different. Yeah. Like, when I put my shirt on, like, I feel a certain way, and I feel like I haven't worn it out in public yet. But, like, I feel like it's like it would be like activating people if I do wear it out in public.
That's like my intention, not only to like anybody that like wears it, but anybody that sees it too. So like it's kind of has the double effect going on.
And it
Anything that I have on my page that I don't have in my shop, like if you want prints or something else, like just direct message me and I
Yeah,
can make it happen.
like, I'm going to show you guys this shirt. Okay. Like, how could you not? Okay, if I wore this in the grocery store, how can you not look at it? It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to not look. And it's not like I'm trying to, like, get attention or anything like that. But yeah, this is like, it's such a cool shirt.
Thank you.
It's such a cool shirt. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like,
one of my goals for this year, like another one of my goals for this year is to learn how to sew. Like I really want to learn how to sew because eventually I could just get the stuff printed and then I can make it myself. And yeah,
mhm.
that's like
I've actually wanted to learn how to sew too forever.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's awesome, because I've seen people that make custom clothing that are really, really cool pieces. Like,
Yes.
stuff you can't, like, buy in the store. You can't buy it online. It's like one of a kind stuff, That's what I like.
Yeah.
Like, I know that really nobody else has it. Like I'm
But
the
see
only one.
that's the thing. Like I want to make like I mean obviously like this stuff like you could order or get more than like one or whatever, but I would like to do also with the sewing eventually like to have like custom pieces made in that capacity. I do also want to put out there that this year like if anybody wants any kind of custom pieces made for like either like art for a business page or even logos and things like that, I also will be offering that as a service too. I just haven't actually put that out there yet, but that will be a thing as well. So, yeah, I do cover art, all kinds of stuff. I've been doing that for other various things and even things for gym, but I haven't actually officially put it out there. Like my logo and all that, I did that myself. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a really great year for a lot of people. I feel like
Yes.
that. Like I felt that way about last year too. I guess I tend to be like,
But like, see, that's the thing though. Even though there was a lot of things that happened, I still think it was for me, like me personally, I think it was a pretty great year, even with the rough stuff, because like I see like how much I've grown since like the beginning of the year to like now, and I don't know, I think it was pretty awesome, like for the most part. So
yeah. And one thing that I did actually earlier today was I sat down and I wrote a list of like everything that I accomplished last year, like everything that I did that I'm proud of. Because I think we tend to slip into these places of, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be at this age. Whatever,
or
bullshit.
I'm not doing enough. That's another one. I'm not doing enough. That's one I
Yeah.
always hear a lot.
I mean, that ties into that like toxic masculine program of, always have to be doing something, always having to be busy, um, where there needs to be a balance, needs to be
Most
balance.
definitely.
Like, because if you keep on like that, you're just going to burn out
Yeah, yeah.
and you can't do nothing. So,
That's why I took my like when it came to my like the shop stuff, I took my time. I'm like, I'm not gonna rush this. Like originally I was like, I want it done by this, and then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna burn myself out. So I'm just gonna take my time with it, and that's what I did.
yeah, and like learning what that balance is for you too. Like for
Yes.
example, let's say you're, taking clients, learning that, yeah, maybe you can't take clients every day of the week, maybe you got to limit it to 2 days a week, like whatever, you need to kind of like build in that balance for yourself so you don't get burnt out. So you've got, you know, time where you are in action and you're being productive, but then also time where you're resting and doing self-care activities. It's just
That
so
was like the 2019 like thing for me because like I
Mhm.
had like
I remember.
if Leigh can tell you I had like two or three clients like because I was taking people for Reiki and like readings. I still do those things, but I've definitely spaced it like way out. Like before, oh man, I was like two or three a day. That was like insane. That
I
was too much.
remember.
Too much.
I remember. And also like protecting your own energies and, like setting boundaries around like who has access to you. Um, who's allowed in your life, who you exchange energies with, you know, uh all
Where
that.
you put your energy.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said where you put your energy, what you put your time and energy into. Because like time, your time and your energy is very valuable, and like people don't realize how valuable it really is.
Yeah, it's very valuable, extremely valuable. But and I've been recently kind of like feeling like gifting a lot, and just doing things for people like without asking anything in return. um and that's been a really cool experience. uh so Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice. And just and trusting that eventually will come back to me. But I really do enjoy being in service. So I think that is just that's part of why I'm here. So I'm gonna keep doing it. And yeah, hopefully help to I'm not teaching anyone anything that I don't already know. I'm just being there for support and helping them to remember. That's it. Like I don't have secrets. I don't have some like key to the universe. That's not how it works. It's just
Take this course with the keys to the universe. In 10 months, you will know the secret.
oh gosh, there's so much of that right now. Oh. And I'm not saying, there are probably some courses that are really great. Um, but yeah, I think we talked about this the other day. There's a lot of what do we want to call it? It's I don't know what kind of energy this is even. It's just like what I'm seeing a lot of, what I'm feeling a lot of is a lot of people that want to be healers and coaches and take my online course and blah blah blah, right? But you can sense that, trying to choose my language carefully.
They're trying to sell an idea, a dream, or something that necessarily there's like part of that. And then the other extreme is like disempowerment. So it's like a little combination.
Well, what I'm feeling is that they they're like they're promising to take you on a deep sea dive while they're waiting around in the shallow waters.
That's a good one.
Thank you. I just came up with that. It's like you can only meet people at the depths to which you've met yourself. And I'm seeing a lot of this out there that is still very, very on the surface, very shallow. They haven't gone very deep. And you can just sense it. When you've gone deep, you can sense other people that have gone deep. I can sense when someone's gone deeper than I have, you know? And like, I think that's why you and I connect so well, is because we go deep. And I've met people that have gone deeper than I have. I'm
Oh
not,
yeah.
I'm not here trying to say like, oh, like I've gone the deepest. No, by any means, I have not. And I'm not saying that it's like bad if you haven't necessarily, but
I think for me it's more the triggery thing for me is more of like, don't sell like a mystical package. Like if you want people, like the right people to come to you for whatever you're doing, just be yourself. Like at the end, that's like what the whole thing is just being yourself.
yeah. And I think there's just like a level of integrity. Like don't promise something that you can't deliver. I know it's like really popular now, and like a lot of people are like jumping on this bandwagon. And I can bring this up now because it's related. Totally. I knew it was gonna come up sometime with like cold calling and cold messaging. Because a lot of these people that I'm talking about, this is what they're doing. They're just it'd be like if you got a call out of the blue from a telemarketer. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So like, someone's trying to slide into your DMs on Facebook that doesn't even know you. That's like, trying to like get you to do stuff, or, trying to get you to like work with them and be their client. It's like, dude, I don't even know you. And then some of them think they're real sneaky. This is hilarious when this happens. They'll slide in the DMs and they'll they'll try to like finesse you a little bit first before they do it. Like they'll try to like pretend like they're like trying to build a relationship with you, but then comes the sell, then comes the, oh well, why don't you work with me? And it's like, dude, this is not cool. And I
Any
call people
person,
out. I call them
I was
out
gonna
now.
I was gonna say any person that I've worked with is because like I've seen the work and like I've gotten to know them over time. Like I call me like a person that takes my time, but that's just how I am. Like I do my research before I
Yeah.
buy anything. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Like I think it should be built on relationships, which relationships takes time, not,
yes.
not just a few messages. Um, and like referrals also, word of mouth.
Relationships take time and like if especially if it's any kind of like coaching or healing, I feel like building that relationship is extremely important because there's a level of trust involved in that too. And like if you got somebody right off the bat, like that's kind of like some predatory type of energy that
I'm not gonna even say the word I want to say. I don't know if it's an appropriate, I don't know. I hate even saying the word because it's so yucky. But yeah, predatory, definitely. Like this whole like I'm gonna just take it, not asking permission, not asking consent. Like how about
yeah.
slide into someone's DMs like, hey, like, can I tell you about my services? Would that be okay with you? Something like that, you know? Like, now that I've learned a little bit more, like typically I won't give someone advice or tell them, like I won't share wisdom with that person, like even if it's something like I know because it's something I've been through already. Like I won't do it unless I ask, unless they come to me. Um, but there are some rare cases if I'm feeling very strongly to do it, but I'll ask permission. I'll say like, hey, I feel called to tell you this thing and it might be a little uncomfortable. Like, would that be okay if I shared it with you? You know? Wow, that's like how many people do that versus just like, oh, let me tell you what you need to do. No, no thanks. I didn't ask. Right? Anyway, what are you looking forward to most this year?
Hmm. Well, I know that at least in this area, they should be posting different kinds of events like for the warmer months. So I'm hoping to be able to get into some of those events for art. And I've also seen some for different like crystals and like healing stuff or whatever. I was thinking about trying to get into some of those. I don't know, like me, I just want to fully utilize like the things, my gifts that I'm supposed to, instead of like sitting on the sidelines. Too much of that, that's like, I don't want to do that
We
anymore.
ain't got no time for that.
I ain't got no time for that.
Oh my God. Sorry, I had to do that, you guys. I know
I
it's
know. I sent her this video a long time ago.
well, and the funny, I had already seen it. I had already seen that lady. It was this lady that was like on a news channel. Um, and I think she was like giving her eyewitness account of like some fire or something happened. It's just so funny. So funny. Man, if only I had it and I could just pop it in there. Anyway, yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of like that phrase is like so relevant to like everything and just moving forward. Like that's kind of how I feel like I don't have time for things that no longer serve me, for people that don't like support me or don't value me. Like I just don't have time for any of that stuff anymore. I don't have time. Like I don't want to, um, like people in my life that I have a relationship with, I don't want to teach you. I don't want to be your teacher. I don't have time. I want to do other stuff.
Something fun.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just like I don't even know if it's like a patience thing or just like a conscious, like, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to spend my time, this is how I want to use my energy, like just being very like purposeful about that.
I think that that's like the thing is like being like purposeful with your energy, being mindful of where you're wasting your energy and like correcting that.
Yes. Yes. Mindfulness 2022. Well, it's been a blast. I love having you on my channel. You're my first repeat guest.
Yay!
uh, so yeah, I love you so much.
I
Thank,
love you too.
thank you so much for coming on my channel. And yeah, I hope that the viewers enjoy this special New Year's Day edition. Oh gosh. What day is it? What